Hey, what's up, guys? It's MetaGamesGX here. We're here with Kyle, the Salamangreat God. We're basically doing Salamangreat week for. It's probably gonna line up with 700 subscriber special. This is a tier list for the brand new Salamangreat support that's coming out in the new Duelist Pack Soulburner, and we're gonna kind of go through all the cards, and Kyle's gonna really just take it away and just let you guys know how these cards stack up and should you run them and how where what their applications are.
All right. I'd like to thank MetaGamesGX for having me on the channel again. It's always an honor, and let's just get this rolling. To start, Salamangreat Charge. It's a quick play spell in which you can activate one of these effects. You target 3 of your fire monsters that is either banished or in your graveyard. Shuffle 2 into the deck and summon the third, but its effects are negated and it cannot attack this turn. Or if you control a fire ritual, fusion, synchro, exodia, or link monster whose attack is different from its original attack, target one card on the field, destroy it, and you can only activate one of it per turn. In terms of the tier list, I would put this into S tier. This card is actually really flexible. It has a lot of versatility in being a quick play spell, and its effect to put banished fire monsters back can include balances that were banished to protect your Salamangreat cards, spinnies that were banished when they were summoned through its effect but not used as exodia material for a card like Mirage Dalio, and monsters such as Salamangreat Jaguar, Flame Buffalo, and Salamangreat Gazelle that have been banished through the effects of cards like Call by the Grave or DD Crow. The second effect isn't going to come up that much in Salamangreat, however, it does come up in Fire Fist because of the fire formations, increasing the attack points of all your Beast Warriors by 100, meaning that second effect will always be live, giving justification for a Salamangreat package in Fire Fist lists. However, in Salamangreat itself, it is a pretty good card. However, I wouldn't run it at more than 1 as it can be quite cloggy and it's not always live in the way that you would want it to be.
So, just to interject quickly, I know that we're going to probably go into this and you kind of preview this in the deck profile, but there's going to be like two different kinds of salad builds now with the synchro build and then more of the traditional build that's been getting a lot of YCS tops lately. Would you run this in your build as a one of, as you mentioned, or would you only run this in the synchro build?
I would only run that in a pure build because the amount of fire monsters you play in a list like mine or many of the others is too small and way too infrequent for you to justify using its first effect. All right, now, do you have any other questions?
No, that's good. We'll go on to Salamangreat Burst Griffin.
Okay, Burst Griffin, put this into C tier. This card is absolutely atrocious. I wouldn't recommend this card if I was giving it to my worst enemy.
Oh God.
A tuner and one or more non-tuners is completely generic. You could target a level 7 or lower fire monster in your graveyard. You're locked out of summoning monsters for the rest of the turn except fire monsters, and if you do, you summon it to your field and reduce this card's level by that monster's original level. And if this card was synchro summoned using Burst Griffin as material, you can activate this effect during the next standby phase. Special summon one monster from your graveyard, and you can only use each effect of it once per turn. This card is just not it. It asks of you to do 2 things. 1, play 2 of it in your extra deck. 2, lock yourself out of non-fire Salamangreat, out of non-fire summons, and both of those are just absolutely not worth it. Making this card in Salamangreat is not difficult at all, given the new cards. However, it just feels like it was designed specifically for one interaction that would never come up competitively speaking. The one thing that I will say about this card is that it has good artwork.
At least it has that going for it. So, like, would you
Yeah.
be even running this in the synchro build?
No, the Synchro build is designed to get cards like Barone and Borreload Savage Dragon out onto the field to supplement a board that doesn't have that many negations going into it. So a card like this is just pure fluff and is definitely not worth playing.
Sure. Sounds good. So, sounds like C tier card. I guess we'll go on to Salamangreat Raging Phoenix then.
All right, this card is a Link 4 with arrow similar to Apollosa, top, bottom, left, bottom, right, 2,800 attack points, and it takes 2 or more fire effect monsters. If this card is Link summoned using Salamangreat Raging Phoenix as material, you can add a Salamangreat card from your deck to your hand. And if a face-up fire monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while it is in your graveyard, you can target one of them. Special summon this card, and if you do, it gains attack equal to that monster's. You can only use each effective at once per turn. Put this card into A tier. This card it's alright. The main issue that comes with it is that its link rating is 1 arrow too high. If this card was a Link 3 and a retrain of Heat Leo, it would be an S tier. The thing about Salamangreat is that this card basically forces you to play either double ups of cards you wouldn't normally play, like Will of the Salamangreat or one of Monster Reborn, or for you to play the new cards and specifically go into this. The thing that really takes this card away from being a perfect card is that it sucks up the reincarnation Link summon, which takes away from the abilities of Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, bringing back a Salamangreat Speller Trap, or on a follow-up turn where you want to make Heat Leo, takes away from shrinking a monster's attack points to one that's in your graveyard. And given that it is a Link 4, realistically speaking, from test hands that I've done, unless your deck is entirely built around Link summoning this card, you will never reincarnation Link summon this card. It is not worth the reincarnation unless your deck is designed to play it specifically. And while this card has potential to be really, really good in very specific scenarios, like turn 3 when you're looking for a good follow-up and your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with your board effectively, unfortunately, this card doesn't really do a lot in terms of enticing your opponent to play differently or forcing your opponent to disrupt your main combos. And overall, I would rather, in a Salamangreat list, run Access Code Talker.
Yeah, so like you really don't see yourself running this card in either builds, like you say then?
Uh, for the list I have, I am playing it. But the reason I'm playing it is because I want to give people a shell. So if they do want to play this card, they can if they want to. But personally speaking, with the current list that I have, physically, no. This card is coming nowhere near my deck.
Would you want to put it in B tier at that point, or do you think just the potential warrants A tier in terms of the
No,
grand schemes of
this
things?
card potentially has a lot going for it. It searches out Salamangreat cards. It can float and become absolutely massive, and it's relatively generic given that you can make it using a Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf and a Nightmare Phoenix or a Pit Knight early. Same thing is true with like Decode Talker, Heat Soul, and Salamangreat Bale Links, or like Flame Buffalo and such. And you can like chain block with Buffalo, which is really cool. But overall, this card has potential, but it just got completely gutted by the fact that it's a Link 4.
Alright, then we'll go to the next monster, which I feel like is probably the most no, this was the last one. This was the last one announced, right? This is the
Yes, this is the
Stratos.
final card announced for the support wave. Salamangreat of Fire, I would say put it into B tier. This card says if this card is normal or special summon, you can add one level 4 or lower Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand except a copy of it. And if you do for the rest of the turn, you cannot summon monsters except fire monsters. And at the start of the damage step, when your Cyberse monster battles, you can banish it from your graveyard to destroy that monster you control, and you can only use each effective at once per turn. Now, this card on paper looks really cool, and it looks really good. In practice, this card is fundamentally worse than Flame Buffalo for 3 reasons. One, its effect can be negated while it is on the field, unlike Flame Buffalo. Two, given that it is in archetype, but locking you into fire monsters takes away from potential plays with Decode Talker, Heat Soul, Splash Mage, Transcode Talker, Update Jammer, or Access Code Talker. And the third real bad kick in the teeth that this card has going for it is the fact that it searches level 4 or lower Salamangreat monsters, which You can't search out Salamangreat Tigger. And we'll get to Tigger when we get to him, but that's a real downfall of this card, because if you could search out Tigger with this card and then summon Tigger, you would be able to make a Clear Wing, which could play around Nibiru. But you can't because it locks you into fire monsters. The graveyard effect is good with Raging Phoenix to get it up to 5,600 attack points, but if you're using the graveyard effect, you're probably going to be removing a potential consistency piece later on. And uh, back to the third point of why this card is worse than Flame Buffalo is because it doesn't inherently set up your graveyard. It sets up your hand. And the worst thing you can do in Salad is set up your hand without setting up your graveyard that takes up your normal summon.
Yeah, I remember when this got announced, it was kind of a little disappointing because of the fact it locks you into things. So, like, do you see yourself running this in your new build? Maybe even a one of in either the Synchro or Pure build?
In a pure build based around fire monsters, absolutely. This card is insane in that build. In the Synchro build, no. You need to make Barone.
Well, okay. How about the Cyverse with Link or Code Talker package adventure? You can't run that, right? With
No, because it locks you out of special summoning monsters except fire monsters. Like, you can play it, but that would involve you using a card like Signet Mining to get Microcoder, which in some scenarios works, but it turns off the adventure engine unless
oh,
you like do it all before, which isn't guaranteed.
okay, fair enough. It's a level 2, which is interesting enough too.
Yeah, if it was a 3, the card would be significantly better because you can make Mirage Stalio.
We go Salamangreat Revive, the trap card that was announced. How are you feeling on that?
Okay, this card says target one fire monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one Salamangreat monster you control and one monster with the same name in your graveyard. Shuffle the second target into the deck, and if you do the first target gains attack equal to its own original attack until the end of this turn. You can only each effective once per turn. Put this card in C tier alongside Burst Griffin. This card is just completely unplayable, unfortunately.
Really?
Um, yeah, uh, Will of the Salamangreat does this card's job, but significantly better because it's not only one revive, it can also be more than one revive. If you target Sunlight Wolf, it's 2, so it's Goki rematch, or it can go up to like 3 or 4 with Heat Leo or the new Raging Phoenix card. And this card being a trap card is the absolute kick in the teeth that this deck did not deserve. Salamangreat is an archetype designed around redundancy. So, like, a majority of their effects are very similar, like how Foxy, Falco, Spinny, and Jack Jaguar can all summon themselves from the graveyard while Gazelle puts them there. Um, and then, like, a bunch of other Salamangreat cards are just, like, either worse versions of all those previously mentioned cards, or are cards that do entirely different things that are completely irrelevant. And this card is a mixture of both. It does something that is relevant. Unfortunately, it just does it too slow. And the second effect for like the graveyard shenanigans, if you want to make your monsters win in combat and you want to play Salad, just play Forbidden Droplet.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, it has generic applications, possibly saying target one fire monster in your graveyard special summon, but not really, right? Because you'd rather just run Call of the Haunted. So
You'd rather run Salamangreat Charge
yeah,
because it's a quick play spell, meaning you can use it on your turn. And like, yeah, it negates the effects of the monster, but if the monster has a quick effect like Deco Talk or Heat Soul, then it's significantly better.
okay. So then we will go to the second last card. Uh, Not this guy. Tigger, Salamangreat Tigger.
This card says you can discard one other Salamangreat card, special summon this card from your hand. You can only use this effect of it once per turn. If this card you control would be used as a synchro material for a fire monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. And soft once per turn, you can either increase or decrease this card's level by 1. Put this card into S tier.
Really?
I will
Okay, I'm gonna
I,
need
I
an
will
explanation of
I will
this.
explain. So This card, along with either Falco or Spinny, plus a way to get to Gazelle, is Barone before your 5th summon. And
You want to
this
explain
card,
that one?
yes. So if you have this card, either Falco or Spinny, and either Gazelle, Circle, or Sign Up Mining, you can make Barone without going into the summon. The reason why is because you use Tigger's effect in the hand, and you discard either Falco or Spinny to summon it. And then you summon the Gazelle in your hand. And then whichever of either Spinny or Falco you didn't have, you send to the graveyard with Gazelle's effect. You then activate Falco's effect to return Gazelle to your hand to summon Falco from the graveyard. You then use this card's effect to increase its level by 1. 6 plus 4 is 10. There's your Barone. And then you can go normal summon Gazelle, make Balinks, search out the field spell, Spinny, bring itself back because you control Balinks, use Balinks and Spinny to make Splash Mage, bring back Falco, and then there's your Decode Talker Heat Soul. This card also, by reducing its level by 1, can help you make Borreload Savage Dragon, and if you use it and Foxy or Spinny with its level reduced by 1, can make Clearwing Synchro Dragon, which can also stop Nibiru. And this card, if you also reduce its level by 1 with either Falco or Jaguar on your field, you can either make an 8 like Borreload Savage Dragon, or you can make a rank 4 like Abyss Dweller or Baguska. This card, the only flaw that this card has is its original level of 5 kind of messes it up because you can't search it off Sign Up Mining, meaning this card will probably have to be your circle target, and that's the one thing that holds this card back from being absolutely insane. But I'm kind of glad that they did that, because if this card was a level 4, Gazelle would not come off the ban list. It would not come back to 3, because if you could use this thing to make Mirage Stalio, oh my god, this thing would be insane.
That'd be insane.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad with this design, and I think it's a perfectly balanced card for the archetype, and it gives it access to some of the best synchros in the format right now.
So you think this is the hard? So this is why you would run the synchro build, just because this enables the deck to play under Nibiru and to set up multiple Omni negates beyond just the counter trap.
Yeah, the deck I have actually has a way to make Barone and reincarnate the Raging Phoenix in the same turn.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And you get to draw a card off Decode Talker Heat Soul while you're doing it, which is really nice.
Alright.
And now for the final card, Salamangreat Weasel. Level 3 Cyber's Tuner. If you have 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If a Salamangreat Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and or Link monsters is special summoned to your field while he is in your graveyard, you can target one other Salamangreat monster in your graveyard. You place Weasel on the bottom of the deck, summon the monster to your opponent's field, and then you draw a card. And you can only use each effect of it once per turn.
So how are you feeling about it?
I put it in A tier. I would say that it's around the same power level as Raging Phoenix. This card has really good applications, given that it's a level 3 tuner. You can use it and Jaguar and Falco to make Clearwing Synchro Dragon, which is really nice. Its summoning condition is relatively easy, and the fact that it puts itself on the bottom of the deck and gives your opponent a monster and draws you a card is actually really relevant for specifically Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, because you can summon the monster to Wolf's Zone, your opponent on your opponent's field, bring and draw a card, and then bring back a fire monster from your graveyard to your hand.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's really good because Weasel basically circumvents the necessity for Jaguar in Raging Phoenix combo, which is really good. And being a level 3 can also help you make Mirage Stalio if you're in the late game, because having 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard, if you make Mirage Stalio and you can summon Weasel to make it, then clearly you either did not see Gazelle, or you probably didn't have a chance to do that before. But overall, this card is actually really good. It's searchable off Sign Up Mining. It's searchable off Salamangreat Circle. this card has a lot of potential to be good, and the summon monster that you can give your opponent can actually screw them over if you're playing cards like Rivalry of Warlords, Goes in Match, or There Can Be Only One, giving the deck access to floodgates it couldn't normally play before because it would lose to them. But in the Synchro build I was doing some testing, and you can floodgate your opponent with Salamangreat Weasel using There Can Be Only One, meaning they have to play like Lingaribo or Salamangreat Balinks, and then during your turn, you can use Barone to destroy your own floodgate that's either stopping you from playing or making it difficult for you to do combos, and then just do them normally as you would. However, I would suggest not playing this as it's not really optimal. But if you want to experiment with it, go ahead. I think Weasel is a very good card, and people should definitely play it.
Yeah, like it sounds really insane. It sounds like it has many applications. Maybe you would be able to play it and, find room for it in all builds of Salamangreat. But overall, how are you feeling about the support as a longtime Salamangreat player? You believed. We're still looking for 3 Gazelle, but you believed and we manifested the support. So how are you feeling overall? Did Konami do well with it?
Unfortunately, my opinion on the entire set is basically like this. Battling Boxers and Volcanics got the ticket to being meta, while Salad already had that ticket. So they kind of just got like a good amount of fluff. But the cards that I'm talking about in S and A tier have legitimate places in a Salamangreat list. They're either going to be your end goal or the support to get to that end goal. And overall, while the support is somewhat underwhelming, because if we're going to be honest, a microcoder would have made this deck significantly better, or a card like Mathmex Circular would have made this deck like absolutely insane. I can't really be surprised that Konami did not go down that route, as they wanted to keep this deck relatively fair in comparison to all the other stuff that's going around. But in terms of what they did with the support, I'm very happy with the tuner monsters. I think their applications are really nice. I think Charge is absolutely underrated, and people should be talking more about that card in Salamangreat lists and Fire Fist. Raging Phoenix has a good spot in a deck if you want to build around it. Salamangreat of Fire, while not optimal, if you are playing the Raging Phoenix build, I would definitely suggest looking into it. And Burst Griffin and Revive are unfortunately the underwhelming part of it, because they kind of just don't really do anything that Salamangreat doesn't already do better. I would give the support a, a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I feel like because it feels like sometimes like what they do with Despia, like they don't fix like the issues. They just kind of give it more like fluff around the or meat around the bones. I guess not really too
Yeah.
much. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I appreciate you coming on, Salaman, Great God, Kyle. I'm looking forward to the support. I'm glad that there's new support coming out for Salamangreat, and I hope Konami kind of just because like they do it with Sky Striker. They give a new link every month to Sky Striker. So it's like they can do this with other support. They can bring back Gazelle to 3. I think that's going to be the next thing on your list. Like when Gazelle comes back to 3, do you think this changes any of your opinions on these cards, or like when the deck, or how you feel about the deck?
Um, no, because I've considered all of my opinions about these cards with Gazelle in 3 and at 1 in mind.
Do you think Gazelle at 3, bonus question, changes much right now for the deck?
Uh, Gazelle at 3 would give the deck a backbone again. The thing about Gazelle is that it's super over centralizing because it's the best card in the archetype, but by doing so, it gives the deck a legitimate backbone that other decks also have, like kashtira Unicorn and kashtira Fenrir, Tearlaments Shiren, Marin sets Blue Tang, all Super Heavy Samurai, uh, Prodigy Wakaushi, all those other cards fundamentally are one card everything, and Gazelle is exactly one card everything. If Gazelle was back at 3, Salamangreat of Fire looks significantly better for the pure fire variant than it does if Gazelle's at 1.
right, sounds great. I guess we'll end it there. Thank you for coming on for the first tier list, and please everyone go check out Kyle's deck profile. That should already be on the channel. If not, there will be a link on the description for when it will be. Um, he's the best Salamangreat player I know. He really like theorizes like constantly on it. So if you guys want to know really what's to be playing in Salamangreat, check out his feature matches and deck profile. So with that being said, thanks for coming on, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye now.